All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to a new week, a new set of opportunities to close the gap between where we are and where we want to be. But in terms of specifically where you're at, you're here for another pre-market prep session where we outline all the important news, notes, information, trade ideas necessary to keep you on the right track and consistently profitable trading markets this week. I'm your host, Adam Holland, options expert market strategist. The date is 7/24/2023, and we're going to dive into laying out the expectations for the week ahead, as well as what we have going on for our Monday specific news. So we're always trying to get 1% better here. That is the goal. You do that consistently, you end up bringing about life-changing effects, right? So let's go ahead and dive into what we got going on. And whether you're watching live or via replay, make sure you drop a 1 in the chat signifying your intention to get 1% better, because it's important to set your intention with everything. Without further ado, we're going to dive into our week ahead news. So the earnings season hits full swing next week with 150 S&P companies due to report. The list of heavy hitters due up at the earnings plate includes Microsoft, Meta, Boeing, and Coca-Cola. Outside of the earnings arena, the negotiations between United Parcel Service, ticker UPS, and the International Brotherhood of Teamsters on a new labor contract that covers about 340,000 workers will be closely watched ahead of the expiration date of July 31st. The strike potential has broad economic implications, with UPS handling roughly 28% of the 75 million packages delivered in the U.S. on a typical day. That's crazy to think about. Roughly split equally between business and homes. UPS and the Teamsters Union are scheduled to resume talks on July 25th. Now, the calendar also includes... Let's see here. Yes, greetings. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Hope you had a great weekend. Let's see here. So the calendar also includes a couple of major central bank meetings. The U.S. Federal Reserve is expected to boost interest rates a quarter point after being on hold at the June FOMC meeting. While inflation and the economy are both cooling, the statement from the Fed is anticipated to keep existing policy rate guidance in place and reiterate that it will remain data dependent. Meanwhile, across the pond, the European Central Bank is forecast to raise its benchmark rate by 25 basis points and not rule out another rate hike in September. Now, in terms of earnings here, earnings spotlight for July 24th, we've got Domino's Pizza, ticker DPZ. We've also got Whirlpool reporting, and then a semiconductors company, NXP Semiconductors. On Tuesday, we've got Microsoft, obviously the biggest name, but we've got another one that's pretty big as well. We got Visa, Texas Instruments, Verizon, General Electric, and Alphabet, right? So Google reporting on Tuesday. So Tuesday, a big day. GM is also reporting as well. Now, in terms of Wednesday, we've got Meta, Coca-Cola, Union Pacific, Boeing, AT&T, Chipotle. So a lot of big names this week. Thursday, we've got Microsoft, AbbVie, McDonald's, Comcast, Ford, Intel, and Bristol-Myers Squibb. And then Friday, we have ExxonMobil, ticker XOM, Procter & Gamble, Chevron, and Centene. So a lot of big names this week. Again, if you do plan on swinging anything through earnings, just understand that it's always a crapshoot, right? I always say if you wouldn't flush the money down the toilet, don't play it during earnings. But there are a number of different strategies, which we went over last week during our scheduled Q&As, that are a pretty awesome way to play earnings. So playing the run up to earnings as well as our post earnings trading strategy is very effective. And that's really one that you can look to put to work this week. I had a great one-on-one with someone last weekend. We were just talking about, ways for them to implement that post earnings strategy and really trying to nail that this week, using this week as kind of a live run. So you can do a lot when you have put in, those thousands of hours in front of the screen. You start to identify certain tendencies and put together strategies where, even during times in which the market can chop, like during earnings week where you have indecision and things like that, weeks that can mess you up, you could shift and just focus on playing earnings names, but doing them post earnings, right? Playing the move that happened after earnings, right? So you don't need to be there for the actual earnings date, but that morning after, right, when we get the repercussions, you can make plenty of money doing that. We did that on Meta, right, a number of months ago, and we weren't in on Meta overnight, and Meta paid us almost 1,000% return just in a day, right, from playing the continuation of what they had. Now, corporate events, anything important? Let's see. I do see Musk's name mentioned in here. So it looks like Pacific Gas and Electric Company, ticker PCG, will hold an innovation summit on July 25th. The summit will bring together entrepreneurs, startups, thought leaders, utility peers, private industry, national research labs, agency leaders, blah, 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 talking about new solutions at scale that bridge the gap between today's energy system and California's electrified and decarbonized future. The summit will also include a one-on-one conversation and Q&A between PG&E CEO Patty Pop and Tesla CEO Elon Musk, which will be a somewhat rare appearance for the busy exec at the investor event. So I guess Musk will be speaking at some point this week at that event. And that really looks like kind of the most important out of our news in the week ahead. So it's really earnings that are going to kind of highlight the week ahead. Let's see what events we have on the economic calendar. So July 24th, we do have S&P Flash U.S. manufacturing. So manufacturing data at 9:45 a.m. today. That could be something that, causes some short-term volatility. Tuesday, consumer confidence at 10 a.m. That's something else to take note of. So consumer confidence, important to keep an eye on. Wednesday, FOM decision on interest rate policy. And then Fed Chairman Powell press conference. So Wednesday is a full-on Fed day. We've got the Fed making an interest rate decision, and we've got Powell speaking at his press conference. So this is a packed week. We've got earnings all week. As soon as tomorrow, we've got important earnings that are happening. Then we've got a Fed day on Wednesday. So a very, very action-packed week. On Thursday, we have initial jobless claims data. We also get GDP on Thursday. So pretty much every single morning or every single day this week that you wake up, there's going to be something important happening in markets. It's very important to have all this, have all this nearby, making sure that you understand what's happening, whether you have to get a dry erase board and write in kind of what's happening for that week. Make sure you have it there, right? It's your responsibility to make sure that if you were swinging trades, you know what you're swinging them into, right? So make sure that you take this down now, put reminders in your phone, anything you need to do. So Thursday, we get initial jobless claims and also GDP data. So we get initial jobless claims and GDP data on Thursday. And then Friday, we get PCE, which is inflation. We get PCE data. So inflation data on Friday. So we get all the PCE numbers, core PCE, year over year, all of that, right, on Friday. So pretty much we have big data or important data every day this week. I mean, PMI, but Tuesday, consumer confidence, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We've got important drops all of this week. So it is a packed week, absolutely packed to the brim. It could not be more packed than what it is between earnings and then the Fed decision and all the different data, jobless claims, PCE data, GDP data. So yeah, it's going to be a lot for sure. Definitely going to be a lot this week. Let's see what we got going on. I believe that I had my data for today. Not data, but basically what we're going to get out of today. Yes, Wall Street breakfast for Monday specifically. Let's get into it. So, top news, fueling the future. Delegates from most of the world's largest economies met in Goa, India over the weekend to discuss the energy transition as extreme heat takes hold in many areas across the globe. The G20 Energy Transitions Working Group meeting was intended to set tone and strategy. And while there were some points of agreement, the summit ended without any consensus on phasing out fossil fuels. Investors in energy and renewables are especially taking note ahead of a gathering of G20 leaders in September and the COP28 forum in December. Now, snapshot greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide and methane and nitrous oxide continue to reach new record highs, while increasing temperatures, a loss of biodiversity, and extreme weather events are said to be growing in intensity. It doesn't help that much fossil fuel manufacturing usage is being outsourced to developing nations where deregulation of environmental protections has been used to advance their economies. It's true, at the end of the day, if you're a developing nation, and a lot of people in the nation are poor, they're trying to get ahead, they do not care about, kind of detoxifying the world. They're like, man, listen, I can't feed my family. What the heck do I need to do? Dump trash in the ocean? I don't care, right? Burn off, inefficiently burn off fossil fuels? Sure, whatever, right? Because at the end of the day, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right, the pyramid, you're going to take care of what's most important immediately to your future, and that's putting food on the table. This can even be seen among countries that are powering the green revolution, like nickel smelting for EV batteries, with further criticism being leveled at the sustainable commitments of some of the world's most profitable companies. Outcome statement: given that fossil fuels currently continue to play a significant role in the global energy mix, eradication of energy poverty, and in meeting the growing energy demand, the importance of making efforts toward phase down of unabated fossil fuels in line with different national circumstances was emphasized by some members. And you have my front running nomination for longest, most jumbled sentence of 2023. That was a quote and a half. I don't even want to go back through it. The gathering also failed to set a specific global goal for renewable energy development. And there was also disagreement about the effectiveness of carbon capture technologies. To note, G20 countries account for more than 3/4 of global emissions and world's gross domestic product. So this is typically how these gatherings go. They're like, hey guys, let's get together and talk about saving the earth. Does anybody have any specific idea of how to do it? No. Does anybody have any specific goals? No. Okay, great meeting. Make sure to, kind of release this in all of our national press conferences and, make sure we can sleep good at night. So I don't even know why it's really reported anymore, because it's just like, who gets around to talk about a problem that's going on and then just has no actionable meeting points moving forward on how to remedy that. Now, a little bit more exciting news here. Media news: meet X. When Elon Musk bought Twitter, he aimed to monetize the platform through 3 separate strategies: advertising, subscriptions, and becoming an everything app. The initial months following his acquisition focused on the first 2 plans of action, but the latter is now kicking it into high gear. In a series of tweets and retweets, Elon Musk said that he would ditch the Twitter bird by rebranding to X, with the future of the app focusing on audio and video, messaging, and payment/banking, as well as creating a global marketplace for ideas, goods, and services that are powered by AI. As Meta Platforms and others look to take away market share from the Musk-owned entity, will Mark Zuckerberg follow up on Twitter killer Threads with a new pivot into the everything verse? Could definitely see, Zuck doing that. At this point, if he just follows everything that Elon does, plus using his first mover advantage, I feel like that's a solid strategy for Facebook, right? Like literally just follow everything, because Elon comes up with a lot of great new ideas and Zuckerberg can't come up with any great new ideas. So, just following what Musk does will likely lead him to the promised land. So I think that's crazy, though. It is like an iconic thing, the bird from Twitter. I mean, it's been around for years and years and years. So it's being replaced by X. If I had to bet, I'd bet money that Musk turns it into an everything app. I don't think that Threads is going to be something that ends up replacing Twitter. Threads is kind of one of those things where, again, everybody goes, you sign up because it's easy, and then no one uses it. Like their the users that have been on and active on the platform has dropped off precipitously since the first few days that it was downloaded. So I feel like it's one of those things where, it's here one day and then the next it is what it is. Good old water. Now, in terms of stocks news here, valuations are justified. Stock valuations tend to have a tough time in a rising rate environment, but Goldman Sachs says there are 3 good reasons why that is not the case currently. The S&P 500 PE has risen to 20x from 18x since the start of April, while the 10-year Treasury yield has risen more than 30 basis points. Quote, our rate strategists expect that progress on a soft landing, and our economists' view for no Fed cuts until 2Q 2024 will lift the nominal 10-year UST yield to 3.9% at the end, before dipping to 3.75% in 2024. Strategist David Costin wrote in a note, quote, the key upside risks to our baseline valuation forecasts are that the multiple laggards catch up or the bond yields fall. So media news here. Talk about a blowout. Barbenheimer weekend was great for the box office, with 2 blockbuster films that resulted in the strongest weekend of 2023 for theaters in North America. It also led to the 4th biggest weekend ever in the U.S., according to ComScore, as well as the only weekend in the top 10 of all time that didn't include a movie from Jurassic Park, Marvel, or Star Wars franchises. Warner Bros. Pictures' Barbie grossed $155 million in the U.S. and Canada, while Universal Pictures' Oppenheimer brought in $80.5 million domestically between Friday and Sunday. It's also a big cause of celebration for Hollywood, which is experiencing a double strike by both actors and writers, as well as theater stocks like AMC, Cinemark, Cineplex, and IMAX. So I believe AMC had some news over the weekend. They had AMC, jumping like crazy. I'm not an AMC guy. I'll probably never be an AMC guy. But that's where we're at with things. Back on the meme stock flow, meme stock wave. Barbie, lots of people, wanting to see actually both, right? Theaters were talking about how they had a large number of people that had bought tickets to see both in the same day. That's a lot of movie watching. I don't know if I can do two movies in the same day. In the movie theaters, I would like to see Oppenheimer. I heard that it was amazing. And the guy who is the lead role in that is like one of my favorite actors, the guy from Peaky Blinders. I don't know names, I just know characters. So Tommy Shelby, super excited to see him in that film. We'll probably see it at some point this week. In terms of today's markets, in Asia, Japan, we're at 1.2%, Hong Kong down 2.3%, China down 0.1%, India down 0.5%. The footy in London down 0.2%, Paris down 0.5%, Frankfurt down 0.1%. The Dow up 0.1%, S&P up 0.2%, NASDAQ up 0.3%, crude oil down 0.6%, gold up 0.1%, Bitcoin down 2.2% to $29,240. Today's economic calendar, again, 9:45, PMI, manufacturing, composite numbers. Really the only thing in terms of data dropping today that's important. What else is happening? Biggest stock movers today, AMC, POSCO, and more. Chevron, ticker CVS, waives mandatory retirement age for CEO Mike Wirth. Nice. You have a mandatory retirement age for everybody except for the CEO. And it's kind of like, do you really want somebody that old leading the company? I don't know. Inside Amex, whose ticker is AXP, Capital One, and Discover credit quality metrics. GM, Ford revving up for solid results in terms of their earnings. Which crypto do asset managers see as the most compelling growth outlook? Then restaurant earnings are coming. Let's see here. Microsoft generative AI push could cause a revenue tidal wave. So, we'll get tons of new info here from Microsoft as they go into the earnings confessional. I'm excited to see kind of where that goes, how it works out. Qualcomm announced this past week that it was teaming up with Meta to bring large language models to smartphones and PCs. So, we've got basically where Microsoft with ChatGPT and OpenAI calls this kind of ongoing wave of revenue across the board for a lot of different companies. So worth looking into, kind of taking note of. And I'm excited to see what Microsoft has to say this week, not only about their outlook moving forward, but also just kind of different applications in the integration of AI into their business systems. Entering a new age, right? Some really, really crazy stuff going on here. And that's why I want to make sure that I stay on top of it, stay ahead of the curve, and most importantly, stay making that money from this news that is going on. We want to stay smart, like this fox here behind me, smart, ahead of the curve, and always taking advantage of the opportunities that are available. So make sure that you are aware of all the different stuff we've got on the docket this week for data. That's important. Of course, when I switch it back to myself, we want to go out of focus. But be aware of all the data that's dropping. We've got a Fed week. We've got, big earnings week happening. Can we bring it in? Can we bring it in camera? Just so I can maybe watch myself by the end of this. I don't know. We'll see. Normally it likes to focus if I give him one of these, but this morning we're just Blur City. Maybe I'll switch off of the YouTube thing and then it'll focus back in. But yeah, we've got a lot of different things on the calendar ahead. So please make sure you keep those things locked in. Don't get, snuck up on, one of your trades ruined or something like that because you weren't aware that a company that, is in the same sector is reporting. So keep your head on a swivel and make sure you stay locked in with this community, which had an absolutely humongous week last week, and we're looking to continue that positive momentum forward. So have a great rest of your day, everybody. You got 1% better. Congratulations on that. I'll see you back here tomorrow morning for our next pre-market prep session. Have a good one.